before, but that's some good news right there. Very well. The World Environment Day is celebrated every 5th of June annually to take stock of achievements, struggles, and some pain points as the globe addresses, among many other issues, climate change. I come bearing good news. Just as I had mentioned before, Kenya achieved its target of getting over 10% forest cover this year. And so here is more of what we prepared for you on our graphics today. There we have it. Kenya attains over 10% forest cover in 2022 as World Environment Day is marked. The forest cover now stands at 12.13%. And of course, that forest cover was 8.83% in 2021, which is a significant jump from 5.99% in 2018. Now, the 2022 forest cover landmass is at 7.18 million hectares. And of course, the target is to cover 30% landmass with forest cover. I'm going to be asking my guests whether that's achievable and what we need to do to get to there by 2050 as enumerated by the Kenya Forest Service. Now let's look at the audit per county, which are some of the top counties that have the best forest cover. There you have it. Nyeri tops the list by 45%, 45.17%, and the list is Elgeyo Marakwet, 29.95%. Of course, the other counties are also there. Let's look at those that are at the bottom. Marsabit is least covered by 2.06%. And of course, the one that tops that list is Machakos by 6.03%. We'll be looking at the variables that are making all of them to work around that. My home county is at 5.27%. Those that have eyes can see. Very well. So joining me now to put that report on the Kenya Forest cover by Kenya Forest Service to perspective is Michael Orange, the country manager of Rainforest Alliance, rather. Of course, Rainforest Alliance is an organization that works with about 70 countries, talk about issues of environment and its relation to agriculture. We want to talk about that and so much more. Good to see you in the studio, sir.
Thank you so much.
First of all, what does that report mean to the Mwananchi, the farmer down in Kirinyaga, in wherever? What does that report mean?
No, I think it basically means that we now have, a larger forest cover in our country, unlike it was there before. And that means that we expect to have more rainfall. We expect to have more food. We don't expect to, have these extended periods of drought. That means we sure of food security in our community.
You say sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go on.
And because you realize the forest cover is basically the underground factor that a lot of things that in the country are anchored. Look at food insecurity. Look at water resources.
Sure.
Most of these forests cover and they ensure that we have enough water. They have enough water reservoirs. We have enough food in the that is whether it's grown or naturally collected from the forests. So the more the forest cover, we are sure that we have food security. We sure we have more water sources. We sure that we have even more medicinal traditional stuff.
Definitely.
That ensures that we also have more raw materials for our industry, more resources for our energy needs, and all that. Yeah.
Great. Rain-fed agriculture has become very unreliable in the recent past, and we are seeing even the ministry shifting towards an alternative of irrigation. Talk to us about the contribution of this 12.13 forest cover towards achieving a proper rain-fed agriculture. What this means is that with more enhanced forest cover, we have a scenario where, for example, when it rains, forests have the ability to store a lot of water. Sure.
And during the dry spells, then a lot of that water is released downstream. So even farmers that are lower downstream will be able to be sure that they will have water for their irrigation, for instance. But also remember that the more the forest cover, the more the rainfall that comes, is generated, and that means we'll have more rainfall, more frequent than what we experience of the prolonged dry spells.
Great. Yeah. Let's talk about the challenges that were enumerated while achieving this forest cover. We're talking about striking the balance between buildings and, of course, development of infrastructure. We have seen a situation whereby some places, vegetation has to be cleared for a road to go through, and people are clearing pieces of land to have their buildings, rentals, and of course, real estate is still a very big sector of investment for many Kenyans. But where do we achieve the trade-off? How do we balance development and achieving still the forest cover?
Yeah, for sure. The urbanization basically has been detrimental towards achieving the 10% forest cover. And you realize, like you've correctly mentioned, a lot of that is cleared away and even infrastructure, creating roads. I've seen, like in Mount Kenya, there are some roads that went through right into the forest. So that really is detrimental towards achieving the forest cover. But I think we need to combine efforts. And I like the commitment of the government that they've said we need to go beyond this. Like, for example, the presidential directive that all agricultural land needs to achieve 10% forest cover or 10% forest tree cover. But we also have the elements of, introducing again the chief's nurseries. That at least we'll have, nurseries that provide planting materials at the local population. But also there was this directive that, departments of government, agencies and corporations need to spare some percentage of their budget towards, reforestation basically.
Sure.
So all that is an enhanced effort, right from the farmers, talk of the government, departments, all corporations or agencies, that combined effort to achieve that required forest cover.
Allow me to broaden the conversation now from just forest cover now to the broader wildlife picture, because forest and the trees thereof are actually part of the wildlife stock that we have in the country.
Sure.
We have been having a challenge of forest fires. What can be done to address this fully so that we rarely see, instances of forest fires and the like?
Yeah, definitely forest fires are predominant, of course, during the dry spells. And I think with more forest cover and with planned kind of forest development, it ensures that even when we have dry spells, if the forests are well, protected, we always actually, like organization, we say you need to have buffer zones, for example, between the forest and where agricultural activity is happening, like real farming. Because what happens is mostly you find a farmer who's going to burn west, that fire kind of extends and goes into the forest. So how can we do that? We need to have a buffer zone between the forest land and where agricultural land is being done. So you have that either non-vegetative or just like a road, for example, surrounding the forest. And that means even if the fire started from the farm, it cannot extend to the forest.
To the forest.
But also in terms of forest security, you hear there are people who even just want to go into the forest and maybe somebody throws a burning cigar and it starts off the fire.
Sure.
So all aspects of, this fencing that has happened even around Mount Kenya with electric fences and monitoring of the Kenya Forest Service staff, I think that ensures that we protect ourselves against forest covers.
Allow me to introduce another conversation right on what you've just said, because it seems the biggest challenge then would be information, the information apathy between the farmer and, of course, the achievements that the government wants to make with regard to forest cover. And you point out a picture whereby farmers are still using quote-unquote archaic means of farming, burning forest cover to clear virgin land, and such kind of things. And sometimes they run the risk of actually extending that fire into the forest. So do you think perhaps you should scale up more sensitization on the need to have modern day even land clearing methods so that we can access some piece of land for development?
Absolutely. Actually, one of the principles and requirement of Rainforest Alliance is that we do not burn west. And even encroaching the forest, for example, clearing new virgin lands to produce, maybe to farm, it's against our standard requirements. So it's a principle that we hold strongly, and we do a lot of trainings to farmers, foresters, and farming communities that there are smarter ways of, for example, preparing land without necessarily burning, because burning has detrimental effects towards the climate, of course, with the carbon and all that. So one of the issues is that we are committed to train farmers and farming communities on the detriments of burning waste and how they can use alternative means without necessarily burning.
Let's talk about 15 counties that were put on the red by the Ministry of Agriculture, as in counties that are in the red in terms of food security due to famine and extended drought. And we've seen Marsabit actually there is one of the bottom counties that doesn't have a forest cover. What can they do to also be at least included, if not bridging the gap between those that have very high forest cover and those that have low forest cover?
Actually, indeed, what can be done is of course tree planting. You know, like most of the areas that are where desertification has extended to is because of lack of rain and lack of these trees. And you remember the Kenyan government has committed itself, for example, to the United Nations Convention to combat desertification.
Sure.
And one of those efforts is kind of trying to ensure that even the areas that are a bit dry can be converted into, potential arable lands. And what I've seen, apart from just doing, for example, irrigation, I have seen areas that are a bit dry, but once trees are planted, they turn green. And you discover that it's not even that desert or that dry land that you used to know.
Initially, okay.
So I think a lot of that effort has to go towards those counties. I was surprised that we also have a forest. I mean, you go to Marsabit, there is a very green forest that you will not imagine that exists there in Marsabit. So it's possible. We can do it.
We can do it.
Yeah.
30% by 2050. Rainforest Alliance work in this also.
Yeah, we are committed. Not sure if we will be there because actually even the current figures, the current latest, of course, we know that 12% is of course tree cover, but forests, compact forests is about 8%. To be honest.
To be honest.
So raising that to 30%, I know it will be a challenge, but I think we have the ability to do it, and we can do it.
Very well, right there. An optimist by nature, Michael Orange, the country manager of Rainforest Alliance, talking to us about how we can achieve that 30% forest cover by 2050. And we've been talking about all of this. Please protect the environment wherever it is you are, and we'd also like you to comply with what the government is saying. Convert a bit of at least 10% of your landmass into forest cover by planting a tree, right? Or any other vegetation.
Trees
particularly.
Whether it's fruit trees as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those ones, by the way, have double benefits because you have fruits and you have
and a source of income, a source of nutrition, and they are still conserving the environment.
Director, can we have more time to talk about that? Of course not today. And of course we'll be having much more of this in the subsequent bulletins. Many thanks for your company the whole time when we were talking about this. Catch me tomorrow again on Business Cafe, right here, the same place, same time. I'm Brian Jedetino. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.